Okay guys, just wanted to bring a quick update on my 75 Planet tank. Today I'm going to do some work on it to clean the glass and also I need to trim some leaves. You can see some dead leaves up here at the front. Also am going to again today dose a little bit of Flourish in here. Put some root tabs in here, and they're the Osmolot do-it-yourself root tabs, and I'm hoping to see some results from that in the next couple of weeks. I'll let you guys know and how that goes. And you can see some of the plants are, they've got some. I need to do some work to it, and you can see some algae on the glass. And I haven't done anything to this tank in probably since the last video and last time I cleaned the glass and everything. So I really haven't been doing anything to it. I need to, and that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to spend probably about an hour on this tank. Actually, probably not that long. I need to, clean the filter out. I need to go through and not necessarily clean the filter, but I need to go through and, clean these sponges. And but as you can see, guys, I mean, the tank looks pretty good. I'm hoping that I'm going to start seeing some positive gains from those root tabs I put in. These plants right here, I've been sort of disappointed with these in the last couple of weeks because I mean, they're growing, but they just don't look anything like they used to look. And the one thing about this dirted tank is, and it is dirt, you can see, it's awesome the first year. But when you get to that second year, you got to start throwing root tabs in it. And if you don't, you're going to see a big difference in your tank. And it kind of spoils, because a lot of you might be saying, hey, your tank looks pretty good. Well, that's because you've not seen it like I have. I've seen this tank look just pristine, everything bright green, red, green, and now, these red plants just thick. I mean, I had to cut these back like once a week. Now these things just don't grow much at all. Swords were growing out of the tank. I mean, it was just a different tank. And I just don't have that like I used to. I don't have that growth. So that's the drawback to dirted, But you know what? A lot of people like to, like I said in previous videos, they just like to tear down these things and just redo them. And this would be, this summer's a great time if I want to do that since I'm off work, to just tear this down. All right, a little bit on the specifics of the tank that I didn't get to in the last video. I think I told you I'm running a 70 Fluval on the back. I'm running AI Primes. I love these lights. I want to do a video just on the AI Primes and show you guys exactly how they work and how I control them. I control the lights with my phone. I've got the thermometer sitting right here, sort of, right here on the back of the light, which is kind of cool. And I just rigged something where it just attaches itself back there, and then the thermometer goes right down here. There's my CO2 line going in, and I do have CO2 running in there, and you'll see a sponge in the back, and I really need to get rid of that. I put that in there to hide some screws that I've got from that. That's a generator that's going down. It's mixing the CO2 into the water and shooting it out right there. Instead of putting it on the outside of my tank, I got it on the inside. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to make sure I didn't have any leaks. I didn't really trust it. It's hard plastic, and I noticed a little, drops here and there, and I just wasn't sure if it was leaking or if I didn't have the hose screwed on tight enough. So I didn't want to take any chances, guys, since, my floors are, I've got hardwood floors, and I don't want to, I don't want to put water on a hardwood floor. Down underneath is my, is where I have my CO2 going in. And as you can see, that's the rate that the CO2 is going in. Pretty slow. And the reason, it is slow is because I'm not dosing it I'm not dosing the CO2 for I'm not dosing the CO2 for plant growth. I'm dosing it to sort of even out the you know, the pH, so I don't have pH going up and down at night. So and I'm hoping, one of the couple of things that I've seen today is I've seen my swords start to pearl today, and I haven't seen them pearl in a while, so I'm hoping maybe those root tabs are working, and I'll let you see what I'm talking about. And there it is right there, sort of purling up right there. So I'm hoping that that the CO2 is, I mean, not the CO2, but the fertilizer is allowing them to pearl again, because I've got enough light on them to make them pearl. But anyway, moving back. This is a Cascade 1000 right here, so I've got plenty of filtration in this tank. It's more than enough. And the way I run my CO2, guys, is the CO2 is, I told you how, but I mean, I use one of these paint canisters, and on a 75, the way I've got it going in, and I might actually speed it up a little bit. Here it's kind of looks like it slowed down a little bit more than I wanted it to, but it lasts forever because I don't dump CO2 in my tank. I just keep it, I keep it in there when the plants are using the CO2. I'm replenishing a little bit, and when at night when they are reversing it and putting CO2 in the water column, it's not affecting the pH too much. So, back to the tank. That sort of explains, and I have explained it in past videos, and sort of this is like an update, so you can just see the tank. And I talk about a lot of the same things over and over, so you got to kind of excuse me for that. But there's really, it's just one tank, so I'm just giving you guys sort of probably the story of a dirted tank at the end of its cycle, when things start to not look as good as it did 6 months or 7 months ago. And that's what you got here. You got a dirted tank at the end of its sort of at the end of its cycle, and it needs to be, honestly, if I really wanted some just radical plant growth, then I would start emptying the water, take my plants out, take a lot of these S reopens out, take these other plants out, throw them in my 29-gallon tank I got in the garage, throw the fish in there, reset the tank up. It would take a couple hours to do, done, fill it back up, keep all my my filters, throw all my rocks also in the tanks, and I'm good to go. I got to start right back over. That's probably the easiest, and I wouldn't have to worry about fertilizers. I wouldn't have to worry about it. I really do think dirt's the way to go. I don't think throwing hundreds and hundreds of dollars onto a substrate when you've got all you need at your local hardware store, or all the potting soils, all you need. Just make sure that it's organic. You don't need all of this exotic potting soil. Once you get into this hobby, one of the things that you realize real quick is that when you set up a tank, you don't want to leave it set up the same way. You want to change it around. So, I'm a big proponent of dirt. I think it works. I think it's cheap. I know it works. Look at this tank. I mean, this is the result of a year, and it doesn't look anything like it did 3 months ago. I would say that my first 3 months, I had to put water sprite in there to take all the nutrients out of the water column, to prevent the algae bloom. Really high water column usage plants, I removed them around, let's say I started in August. I removed all the water column plants by November. By November to February, this tank was amazing. It was I would say about 4 months, this tank was it was really one of the nicest tanks I've ever had as far as planted. And starting about February, you started seeing everything sort of ramp down. You started seeing the plants starting to scale back. The sword started to, and it was slow. It was a very slow process. But by, I would say, May, you could really see the tank starting. You started to see holes in this right here that was, it used to be super thick. You started to see holes like back here in the back. That was all filled in. It's no longer filled in. By June, you could really see it. And last week I started using root tabs, and so we'll see if how far. I wanted to see how long I can keep this dirt going. How much will root tabs help, if that will help. And if it doesn't help, then I'm going to redo this probably right before I go back to work. So guys, just let me know what you think. I've enjoyed this tank this year. It might be about time for me to reset it. If these root tabs work, then I'm going to keep on trucking with what I got. Because I want to just, I want to give everybody the sort of the story of this tank. And, when you set your tank up, you can plan on what you want to do. And that's my best advice to give people when they set up a tank is go ahead and plan out, what do you want to do? What do you want to do with this tank? And whatever you plan, don't plan on changing the world when you get it. See it through, and when you want to redo the tank in any way, redo it. But have a game plan. Don't just, start something halfway, and because in this hobby you can't do that. You've got to, it's either, you've got to get the lights, you've got to have the tank, you've got to have the substrate. And then you've got to find plants that will grow in the environment that you're trying to grow. This is a low tech setup. It has the capacity to go high. I mean, I've got everything I need to go high. I've got UV lights. I've got CO2. I've got lights that are running only at 70%. I could kick these up to 100, and this all of a sudden this tank goes to a high light tank instead of a medium light tank. So, just pick what you want to do. I gave myself some leeway of what I wanted to do. I could make this a high or a low light tank. So that's up to you guys and what you want to do. But anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know what you guys think about root tabs. And that's what I'm kind of curious today. Root tabs. And also, what do you think about any ways you could help me out with this substrate? I'm getting views, but I'm kind of looking for some input too on what I can do. I've stuck root tabs all through here. Maybe I can, I'm gonna probably stick some more in here today. And as you can see, I need to do some major cleaning on this tank. But just let me know what you guys think. Thank you. Bye.